Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Kamen Rider Zero-One. I'm Bashi V, and joining me today is...
Rye?
And zero.
Uh, so, Aruto still can't control Metal Cluster Hopper, and he can still wreck Thouser's shit with it.
Because Thousand Island doesn't learn.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that thing is like way overpowered.
And
So,
he made it!
well, I think he was
this is
just
like
trying
building
to.
a brick. This is like building a brick wall and going, I'm gonna break it with my face to
I mean,
prove
to
that
be
I'm
fair, I
better.
don't think it was supposed to be this useful. Like, even I think Bowser is like kind of like, what the fuck
Because,
is
like,
going
he
on?
wants to control it.
Yeah, there's that. I feel it's more like he made it so it would just be like, when it like first transforms, it's just the base form, and then like all the arc stuff like boosts it up. Right, like maybe Thouser thought it'd just be like the base form, and then he would never activate because he'd just like get teleported to like Arc Dimension or whatever, and just get stuck there. So he would never like actually move or anything.
Maybe.
Yeah,
And then Thouser proceeds to steal Kamen Rider Beast's finisher.
dude. At least that thing was cool as hell. I mean, also it explains like, oh right, he's still like we've never seen a proper finisher by him, and like all the stuff he stolen he used in that one move, and it's still like Metal Cluster is busted as hell, but like Thouser is still pretty strong if he goes like all out.
Like,
But yeah, that finisher was nice.
when he used it, I forgot that Beast was a thing, and my brain went, hey, look, Genki Ranger was a thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. Holy shit, you're right. Oh man, that's great.
So,
But yeah, that was the first legitimate Thousand Island finish,
yep,
and of course, it was still presented by Zaya,
Of course.
copyright pending.
as always. So, the actor Humagear that was playing the priest in the fake wedding, uh, he has been taken over by the Ark and now wants to work for Thouser. And I was already calling BS at that. The Ark would never work for Thouser.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that
was like,
that was
mate.
that
I
to me,
thought.
that was the only thing that gave it away that it was bullshit.
See, I was like, that's weird because it's like it's way too easy, and then I'm like, well, maybe we're just done fucking around. We're just gonna go like, yeah, the arc straight up just works for Thouser. But I'm like, this is even then, it's like way too easy.
Yeah, no.
Like the one thing that did sell it for me initially was the fact of like this was how I called like the fact that the first Human Gear got hacked. Like, because my brain wasn't taking in like the human malice and all that shit. It was no, he just touched he touched it, so it hacked wirelessly. Because my original thought was that's how the Flower Ranger got hacked, was because the Spec did it when he came into contact.
Right.
Is like, and then because that's more or less what happens here.
Yeah, I know, but the problem there is Bingo wasn't near any of the specs
Yeah.
when he changed, so like it's literally wirelessly doing it.
It will.
I meant for the actor, because it literally he gets bumped.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
And then because it took me back to my initial theory, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I went, yeah, no, not working for Thouser.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, that theory doesn't hold up, though, because we've seen Humagear get hacked just from getting hit and have nothing to do with the Zaya spec.
Yeah, see, like the worst part with that is like it's a little inconsistent because like okay, so the Zaya spec does nothing now at this point.
It
Um,
it makes humans
Well,
better at their job, but that's it.
yeah, and
It's
that's it.
not
So it's
the
it's literally just an
the
inferior product. It
the,
has
the
nothing.
technology is not evil. Thouser is
Right.
evil.
Right. It's just like
Yeah.
the Zaya specs, for lack of a better term, they're no different than the fucking Apple glasses.
Apple has
That's all it is.
glasses?
Yeah, they do.
Oh god. I mean, like
Oh,
Google's one
them and
fucking.
Google do. It's like, but that, I mean, that's all it was. All the Zaya spec
Right.
was it was an instant connection to the internet right in your face.
Google Cardboard, everyone.
Well, Google Cardboard is VR on the cheap. Google Glasses. Honestly, like the worst part about Google Glass is they had it in beta for so long, everybody thought it died, then they released it, and then people are like, what? Did you release it? Oh, and then they shut it down after a year, and they're like, well, nobody did a thing. I was like, wait, you released it? Right? Like fucking Google. Like releasing broken ass shit, then going into beta, then fully releasing and telling no one, and then be like, well, I guess it didn't succeed. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
also
Like,
confused about the Stadia.
God, Stadia is such a piece of shit. Like from as a goddamn like person who studied like network engineering and shit, it's like, how did you think this was a good idea, you moron? And no, the worst part is when you actually know about Stadia. It's like, no, this was just like a project that some people were working on, and then Google's like, hey, cool, full release, and they're like, wait, what? Like this was like just the prototype, man. Like we got nothing. It's like no full release. Like
For release,
okay.
everyone will be on board for this busted product.
Right? Like it's not even. I can't even blame the developers because they're like, hey, we just made this cool thing, and then Google's like, no, we got to push it super hard.
Let's
now.
market
Like,
it,
oh,
but it's not
No.
marketable. We're gonna market it, but it's not ready
I mean,
yet. It's already on the
was-
shelves.
It had good marketing. It's just bad implementation. Like
To
if they
be
fucking had games, it would have been fine.
to be fair, Sega CD was a thing.
Okay.
So the history
That-
track record of doing this, of pulling this shit of let's just release shit that really should still technically be in beta.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
It's
like the
standard
Nvidia
practice.
one works pretty well. It's just it doesn't have any games. Well, it doesn't have any major games. Well, that's not true. It has games, but like Blizzard, I mean, Activision and Blizzard pulled their games off of it.
Well, it's because it was a bag of ass.
No, not Stadia. Nvidia's one.
For those of you who think we got super off topic, you're right, but this is still relevant because this show is about capitalism.
Yeah. It's true.
And capitalism is the villain.
Oh, it's sure fucking. Dude, at this point, I don't even know if Shocker's gonna show up. I'm like, this is just bad business, like bad venture capitalists going at each other's throats at this point. Oh fuck. Jesus. That's the worst part. Like the fact that the glasses aren't evil makes them even more shit. Right? Because they're just a bad product now.
Like, really, all it did was it fucked with the people's heads that had them.
It didn't even do that. Guy was the dick who fucking pushed them into the situation.
Well, right, is like, but it added to the Zaya effect was increasing their stress. It's why what is it, Naki showed up to give what's his name the Raid Riser, because it was a way to control the stress.
Oh god. Yeah. Also, another thing about that shit, like, Guy, why are you letting these human gear like hench shit? Like, literally, dude, nobody's looking. Just murder the thing if you want to murder the thing.
No, but
Right?
like turn
why are
it
you giving it armor? It's more of a problem now.
because it's more satisfying.
Bullshit. There's no indication he actually enjoys the challenge like that.
No. It's
I-
more satisfying
I-
to crush them.
No. I know that, but like, Guy's character shows no like.
I can validate that.
guess.
I can
I-
validate his thought on that.
Yeah, because he
Up
goes
until
into
the-
cluster.
Well, up until they're hacked, which once they're hacked, that's when all that they transform. It's literally they're still connected to Zaya. So literally everything's being recorded.
Oh, you mean there?
No,
it's fucking
fuck,
no.
it's
Fuck
It's
TVing with
Satellite
that.
Zaya.
Because they flat out say Zaya, and it's been Zaya. They've said Zaya every damn time.
I don't know why TV Nihon is like subtitling it as there because
Well,
that's
dude,
not.
literally all the character, most of the character. Okay, like Izu's brother was Izu is, so her name is basically right. Like
It's
was is there. Like
they're
god damn
pun.
it.
They're puns. Their
Well, they're
names are
not puns. They're
puns.
literally English words said in Japanese.
Right,
But
but
yeah,
it's
I
but
know you're right. Zaya sounds like way better. No, my reason is like whenever you say Zaya, I just think of Zaya, and I'm like, ah. So I'm mixing that up. My bad. That's what I was trying to clarify because I thought you guys were talking about. I'm like, Zaya didn't fucking make that. And I'm like,
No.
oh no, you're talking about the satellite,
which I
not the
actually
company.
once they introduced Zaya as a company,
Yeah,
that's when they changed it. I think they only did it just to alleviate that confusion.
yeah,
But no, it's Zaya.
yeah. You're right. Zaya sounds like much better anyway. Look, man. Even if officially Toei goes like, no, it's there. I'm like, fuck you, Toei. We got Pair DX, and nobody's dealing with that shit. So
Yeah, that's a.
we're overriding your
That
nonsense.
is a decision I agree with TV Nihon on. It's just fucking paradox.
Yeah,
Right,
Paradox or
100%.
Peridot or
Toei romanizations are garbage.
dude, I'm amazed. Okay, that's not true. They're basically doing it to be cheap. The fucking like text to speech shit. I'm amazed they've kept up with it, but I'm like, it's software. It's not a real person, so of course they can keep up with it. They don't have to pay a voice actor.
Alright, so. Match reveals that he provoked the girl to hit him on purpose because he wanted to pretend to go out of control so that she would stop hitting on him. It
Yeah,
worked a little
my
too
bad.
well, and he actually went out of control.
Right. So originally I said Bingo didn't get hacked. I meant Match didn't get hacked.
I
Yeah,
didn't
you're
even
right.
notice. But but this proves my point that the Human Gear are not actually choosing to go out of control, and that whole argument is bullshit. They're being hacked.
Because again, Thousand Island's a piece of shit.
Like,
Well, at this point, it's not even him. It's just
it's even
he
Hirobi
connect.
is saying it.
Right. It's like, well, I'm still. But again, he's the reason the arc is doing this. He was the
Right,
one who gave it this push to evil sentience.
right. But he
Thousand
doesn't have any
Island
like direct
ultimately.
control like we thought he did.
Right. Arc is entirely separate. He just wants to control the damn thing.
And he's trying to use Aruto to do that and failing super fucking hard.
Well, it's because he didn't plan 1,000% of this through.
Don't even start. um, like the saddest part is like is a really interesting character, but like the more we find out, like the more his plans are like falling apart. It's like, oh, he doesn't actually have control, and he's just like one-shotting this nonsense. It's like, oh god, like he comes off more and more stupid, and I'm like, like good thing he's probably gonna be taken out soon because like if he stayed any longer, man, like all of his like cool points would get taken out. I mean, he did have like an interesting moment near the end of this episode, but we'll get to that.
But also, Match wanted to put Chiharu together with her friend Ebi because he's like, these two belong together. This is his job. Uh, and after they get together, uh, I'm pretty sure Match recommended where he proposed to her. Because I can't think of any other reason why he would have been already hiding at the beach ready to pop out and congratulate them.
Because he's a
And
stalker.
when I say hiding at the beach, he had a fucking like ninja like tarp over his head to disguise himself under the dirt.
He was
Dude, that was
he
so
dug a
unexpected.
hole and sat in a hole until he proposed.
Yeah, to be fair, that's like that's messed up. But this whole damn storyline's messed up where it's like, oh, they hooked up with the childhood friend. I'm like, fuck off. This entire plotline is horrible, right? Like they've barely got a connection. Like, okay, fine. The guy cares for her. cool. That doesn't mean anything, especially because you know she has this bad habit of falling for people like way too quick. And this is like, like, okay, this is basically that thing of like, when like people hook up in like superhero movies and shit, where it's like, oh, right, like they went through traumatic thing, now they have a connection, and then they bond, and they think it'll last, and like at least fucking Uncharted and shit show that like not really. Well, at least the
Yeah, no, that's what
that
Match wanted to create, though. He wanted to create that scenario to put them together.
I know, but it's like his whole thing is like, oh, this is the perfect match. I'm like, no, it's not. This is just a match right now. This is gonna fall apart in a couple of years. Like, fucking, there's no chance this will
He,
last.
the matchmaking service did its job. The rest is in their hands.
Oh, uh, okay. You know what? We
Chiharu
actually have a
went. Chiharu went to Match and said, "Find me a boyfriend," and he did that.
All right. Well, Match found her an ex-husband. Um,
Which, well, to be fair, that's still a step up from, the vice president who literally has nobody.
okay, that's like such an awful joke too. Honestly, that was such a good moment of showing that like he had like another side to him, because
He
we should
has a
have seen him like on
personal
a
life
date and
outside of trying to steal
right,
Aruto's
exactly.
job.
Like the funniest thing. Okay, so like Amazon season 2, right? Like the leader of basically like they're like, well, season 1 has the extermination squad, season 2 has like this private security guys, and he's their leader, and he's so like almost one note and like a total villain. But like near the end, he actually gets a lot. Well, not a lot, but he gets like decent character. And you have this one moment where you see him just doing regular shit, like he's not at work. He's just like he's literally in a goddamn grocery store, just grocery shopping, right? And then he's like, well, that's weird, right? And then you find out that like he totally likes chocolate and has a sweet tooth and all this other shit. And it's like, okay, not in a million years would you have seen that coming from this guy. But like that's the whole point. You put them in a situation when they're normally not seen to show more character, right? And that's kind of like uh one of like the major moments where you start seeing this guy as like, instead of being a straight up villain, like it's more of kind of like an anti-hero type thing. Because that's when like that character arc keeps going for season 2. But in this show, it's like, why are the vice president crew even here? We were like halfway through the show and they've done nothing. Like they're not even a threat. They're not even doing the Hojo thing of like, oh, one false step and I take over. Like no, they don't do anything.
Even in the first arc, where they were trying to get Aruto to quit his job, they were not relevant.
Right, because they still weren't actually doing anything.
They were
They
just
were just there to.
every time something
were
bad
there
happened, they
they-
went, "Oh man, this is a bad situation, Mr. President. How are you going to take responsibility for this? You going to leave your retire? You going to like step down?"
I equate them to they're the old man standing on their porch yelling at the kids for going too
Get off
fast on
my
the
lawn.
sidewalk. You
Yeah.
damn kids, get off my lawn! I mean that's basically.
Yeah, it's like we've been here longer. You don't deserve this. At least that would be a character. They don't even have that.
Because like that's kind of how it started out. Aside from it seeming like he was a giant piece of shit
Honestly,
who was
he
literally just
seemed-
waiting for Hiden to die.
right. Like yeah, it started like that. I mean, he did have a little bit of character where it's like he's not just super one note for a bit, and then like he's got nothing.
He's either he's either not in the episodes or he's there for sight gags.
Right. It's so stupid. Like he already has characters for that. There's no reason to make the vice president that character.
Right, that's what Match was for this episode.
Yeah, match is weird.
Match this
Also-
episode was there for a sight gag and an explanation.
Yeah. We actually had a comment about that by Rockman Fan 100. He said, Match definitely. Oh, this is on last week's episode. Match jumped in the way to protect Penguin Boy to have the best match with Yellow Buster. I'm like, well, that's pretty accurate. But even then, like, I feel like, okay, like X-Aid, I could kind of let this fly because it's it's all just like weird virus shit. So it's interacting with the human body and stuff. It's you can there's a little bit of leeway, but this episode, it's a little too convenient how stuff happens where it's like, all right, just good vibes pretty much. Well, I mean, not really, but like that's the way they phrased it. I'm like, that's stupid, right? Because they're like pure AI.
You,
um
all right, so you want to move on to the part where Izu calls in Order 66?
God damn. Even the youngling. Yes,
Yes, even the youngling, because
oh my god.
that pure and innocent Dodo was there.
Okay, was he? Oh, he was. God
Yep.
damn, you're right. The fifth
The
one,
the one that got away, yeah.
the one that got away. Oh man. Okay, yo, you know what the best part about that was? Izu totally had the plan. She just went to Ardo for the okay. Right?
Yeah.
She's like, all right, everything's set up. Then she goes to Ardo to have the talk. Right? Like, what if Ardo said no? All that planning for nothing.
Izu would have done it anyways. We all know this at this point.
Like it's
Well,
getting to
I
the point
know.
where the key is putting Aruto in the hospital now. Like, and she already had this ready too, because like she just calls the guy at the satellite. Is like, hey, it's time.
Yeah, I mean, they all had the scanner key thing, so she probably already told them all before she went to the hospital.
Uh, so yeah, the satellite Humagear and the repairman one break into Daybreak Town and find the old ARC computer that Hirobi and Jin used. And the contractor Humagear drills through a concrete wall.
In one spot and breaks it because,
Like, this is like half a foot thick.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could see the drill getting through, but like, what the fuck was with that like Sentai nonsense or Rider nonsense of just like one hit and you're through? Like, what are you like Gutsman or some shit? Like, are you just blowing past it?
to slightly make this acceptable, they are in a town where that was literally blown the fuck up.
Yeah, except this is
There
new.
is some structural weakness.
Right, but no, but this is the new wall that the cops put up.
Okay, yeah. Do you really think the cops put a thorough wall up?
Yeah.
My brain says they're cops. They would have just put fucking plaster and plywood.
That's a good point.
They literally put up a keep out sign and then walked away, even while there were Humagear rampaging inside the walls.
What is this, fives in that like underground? No, actually no. That's the right way of doing it. Fuck that. Screw my stupid joke about fives in the underground. Or no.
Goddamn moment.
So yeah,
Oh man, don't even.
they hack into the metal cluster upper key, and all the Humagear give their thoughts and prayers to Aruto.
This was so
And
stupid.
for once, it actually does something.
Yeah, I know. Even though it shouldn't, I'm like, okay, Izu's calling everyone. It should have been like, right, you're using all their processing power. I'm like, okay, that could work.
Well,
But
so
it's literally like, send us your data. I'm like, oh, okay.
like
So-
the Arc overpowers Aruto with all of its negative emotions towards humanity. So what they're doing is they're putting in positive emotions that Izu downloads into a new weapon to override the negativity.
Which honestly is not a bad idea.
Okay, yeah. The
Because
problem is their AI, and this whole thing of like, oh yes, just good data. I'm like, Arto, man, just like, I don't know, fucking cat videos straight to your brain. Neon Cat on full blast. What the fuck, man? That, like, this is one of those things where it's like, it worked in X8, it doesn't work here because like, this is a AI versus. Okay, it's like Zaya versus Arc, right? Like, what the fuck does good vibrations do in a fight with AI versus AI? Right? Like, it doesn't
So
make any sense. It works in X8 because it's like they're sort of weird, like biological things because they interact with human bodies and you can overpower it with emotion. But like, it doesn't work in this show.
like I used the way Izu put it was it wasn't the fact that it's just like, hey, we're putting emotion against it. It's like, no, the sword is basically holding all of the codes that signifies their faith in for Arto in response to the faith and kindness that he has shown them. And mind you, these are all human gears that have reached sentience and or come very damn near close to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, I
So
mean,
it's more. This is more of, hey, we're gonna back you kind of thing.
yeah, I mean, as cool as that was, like that sentiment is, I really fucking hate how plasticky the damn sword looks. Right?
Sword
Like,
does look like shit.
yeah, it does, man. Like, if they just put on gold paint or something, it would have been fine. I mean, they're giving it the yellow that the suit has, but I'm like, at least the other shit that has the yellow, it's the supporting color, not the primary color. When you put it like that, it looks so fucking cheap.
It's that
Especially,
they forgot their color pattern.
right? It's so stupid. Honestly, the fucking axe looks better on like Cluster Hopper
I,
than this thing.
it's like the sword was designed for his base form.
Right? Yeah, because the color, and then like then you put on the weapon that the base form has, and it looks so much better than this sword.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it looks great when he turns it into a swallow.
yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, it's so like I like the sentiment of what the sword represents, and then like, oh, we took all the arcs nonsense and we trapped it in the sword. I'm like, cool. That way we can still use the power by partly contain it. I'm like, that's clever. I just wished it didn't look like it wasn't finished. Like when they were printing it, I'm like, oh man, that's like shit CGI right there. They should have spent more time. Maybe I mean like the official prop will have more details. Nope, it looks even more shit in real life.
Like the problem I have with like the appearance, true that I truly have with the appearance is it literally looks at Bandai went, hey, we're gonna give him a toy because it
Right.
100% looks like a cheap plastic piece of shit toy.
Right. I mean like I don't even hate it that much, but it's like it needs some more details. It's like it's way too plain.
Honestly, I
It's
didn't
like it
give it
never got
any
out of the
thought at
prototype.
all before you brought it up, which speaks to just how plain it is.
Right. Not the heart back on the earlier things, like, but it looks like it's still in the prototype, and fucking Izu rushed it out.
I mean shit, I would have been fine with that if that was the damn plot line. But it wasn't. So it doesn't make any sense. Ah, it's so lazy because you know this stupid thing's gonna stick around unless we get another power up next episode, which I
Not
don't know what
for
the fuck
Aruto.
is
This
going.
is his mid-season power-up. So he's not getting
Yeah,
one until the pre-final arc.
god damn it,
Other
man. Like
characters
So
are gonna start catching
like
up.
I don't like the axe super much, but like at least it looks nice compared to this thing.
I like the axe over this, that and the fact it turns into a shotgun.
Eh, I mean, I'm kind of just over the like two-in-one
Ready
weapon
for
thing.
Buster.
And that, my God, I really enjoy the fact that the two episodes that the Go Busters were in that had a Ready for Buster moment.
I do also kind of like how they've just incorporated like previous shows. Like catchphrase is just toei vocabulary now. Like Showtime is such a wizard thing, but like it comes up so much now.
It would literally
Best
said
match from Build.
like Showtime was said like for what 40 almost 40 episodes every
Right.
20 minutes.
Wow, maybe. It's a 20-minute
It
episode.
was said at least 2 or 3 times an episode for like the longest fucking time. Because
Right.
Wiseroo says that motherfucker constantly.
I mean, to be fair, it's a decent catchphrase because it can be used for action. I also like how
It,
like best match is a thing now. So it's cool that they've incorporated like past writer history. It's just a little weird when they like double down on it. I'm like, all right, every once in a while where it makes sense, it makes sense. But then like now you're saying it like way too much, like the fucking best match shit last episode. But yeah, this stupid sword. Cool idea, crappy ass design.
It's got a CGI locust on it that kicks its legs back a little bit.
and why?
Yeah, I mean, it's because they have to make the toy do something, and like I'm so sick of Toei making the fucking gimmick of like, here's the thing. To make it do more things, just press it like 4 times. Like, fuck off, man.
Imagine though if that like grasshopper or locust or whatever was actually like part of the handle or something, and when he charged it, it kicked its legs back as part of the charge.
Dude, that would have been
See,
cool.
An actual design that is marketable and appealing.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you don't want people squeezing grasshoppers.
I,
They don't even have to squeeze it. Just like it's like a part of the handle you don't actually hold on to, and like you hit the button and it does it.
okay, I mean, you could just make it so pull back the legs and then push it in, the wings open or something. Very
Or
Kabuto-esque,
that.
you know, very basic.
Like
It could.
there's
I mean, at
there's
that
a
point, it would have been a gun instead of a sword, but I'm like, fuck it, we already have enough shit, so why not?
I mean Japan isn't, too ashamed of gun knives.
Gun so. I mean, okay, like Rider is one of those weird things where it kind of works, so I let it fly, but like, yeah, like way too many transformation weapons. Um, Honestly, like I think the best one is still Ghost's one, where it's like 4-in-1. That thing is amazing.
Are we
Like his
talking about
base one, not the
Uh,
sunglasses one. That
okay,
thing,
not the sunglass one?
not the sunglass one. That thing is lame as hell. His base one.
All
That
I
thing
can
is
think
so
of is every time anyone ever mentions the sunglass swords, all I can think of is fucking Kamen Rider Brain. Those aren't even yours.
cool. Yeah, I know, it's so good. Oh man.
I actually
Yeah, I
like
mean, it's,
Build Sword where like he just keeps shoving bottles into it.
you mean the drill?
Yeah.
I mean that kind of works, but like, it's not really a sword.
It's
That's why it
well
kind
it's
of
more of
works.
a gun, honestly.
Yeah, at this point. Um, Honestly, like, okay, here's the thing. Like, this show has really good designs. That sword is like the worst thing in the show, right? And it's supposed to be this like huge thing of like, oh, it's this significant piece, like the human gears trust in you, like,
It's like,
made real, right? And it's supposed to be this like really important thing, and it looks like the worst piece of garbage in this whole show, which is
and this
really.
to me, the sad thing about it is like we've seen scans of stuff coming up, and the production value on it looks fantastic, and then we have this sword
Yeah, that's what
in
I
the
was saying.
in the middle
Especially
of
because like
all of it.
even the
Here's this,
monster suits are so good in the show. Like if you have something this simple, it just doesn't work.
right? It looks out of place. Like this seems like something you'd see in an honest to god, truly children's show.
Yeah, like
Which
fuck, man. Low budget Tokusatsu would be embarrassed to have that thing. And that's saying something, right? Like, jeez.
But
And the worst part is, okay, if you want to be really lazy, fine. Instead of making a pure yellow handle, wrap some black tape on it or something. Give it a little bit of separation. Puts another color on the backside. I mean, it doesn't have to be all just one single piece of yellow. Like, it looks so basic.
except for the blue insert
Right? I mean, that's
that
on the
has a
front.
yellow insert on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, put something on the back, color the handle differently. At least it'd be something. It'd be basic, but goddamn, it'd be better than this.
now that Aruto is in control of himself, and because hey, surprise, the actor Humagear was faking it and just wanted to know where the computer was. Thouser starts kicking his ass, and Izu's like, hey, Arto, go use this. You can control it now. And we get...
Okay, was the lightning also acting? Because like,
What?
okay, I guess he just made it up all on the fly. Like he
No,
tried to
this
help.
was Izu's plan. She told him ahead of
What?
time, like, to get close to Zaya so that they could learn the location of the computer. Izu had this whole thing planned out a while ago.
From the wedding.
Yeah, before the
Yeah,
wedding.
from before that.
That's
So
why she
it
got
wouldn't-
him to do the role of the...
Yeah, I get it. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, it's just
So it would make sense that he would have something to trigger like that effect.
It just so happened that, like, alright, the Arto is actually in the hospital now. We got our guy on the inside. Pull the trigger.
Search
Fair
your
enough.
feelings, you know it to be true.
Oh man. Oh god. Yeah, that's pretty great. Fuck.
I still love the best part of this entire setup is Izu standing behind Aruto while he's doing his catchphrase.
Oh god,
Yeah.
that was so cute.
And she's mirroring it.
She's good. Man, like that. Okay, this is one of the annoying problems. Like literally, Arto. I mean, he's an okay fighter, but like Izu does everything in this show. Like this is kind of starting to turn into Ghost all over again. Where
No.
like,
It's turning
Akari?
into O's. Eiji was useless without Ankh telling him which metals to use.
yeah, but Eddie's actually a good fighter though, and he actually has like decent moments. Whereas like I feel like Arto barely does anything. But you're right. Oz is a decent comparison. I
It's like-
just
and-
feel
and-
like this is turning into. Well, here's the difference though, right? Like O's, they had to fight and get their things like the medals by winning or being smart. Whereas here is like literally Izu just goes to Zaya and just prints it. And that's why I think it feels a little more cheap because it feels like Arto doesn't do anything, whereas like in O's, like Eddie actually had to get the medals.
Yeah, but he didn't know which ones to use.
No, I know, but at least he had to still fight and get them out. Like it feels like he at least earned something. Where here, it just feels like Arto just gets everything handed to him.
So,
I mean, to be fair, it's
Yes.
her literal job.
yes, Arto is just having all of his tools literally handed to him. But that's not the point of this show. The point of this show is that he has everything, but he has to defend it, and if he wants to keep it.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
This is basically they're playing a game of King of the Hill. And Aruto's already at the top of the mountain.
Arto's the king of the hill, and he's got no less than 3 people trying to push him off.
And he literally just got chucked to that position.
Yeah, he literally just
So-
got chucked up
so
to the
failing
top of the
upwards-
hill with
So-
no explanation.
So to equate this to gaming, and this will be an easy way to do it. This is like, say we're playing Halo, King of the Hill. Somebody takes the hill and then hands their controller to their little brother and goes, "Have fun."
That's such a good analogy.
That is what
Holy-
happened.
Holy
Which is
shit.
which is why Izu is literally handing him what he needs to win. Because
Yeah.
he doesn't know what to do.
That's a good point. I wish the show would kind of do that. Like, it's. Okay. The show is a little too generic writer to actually point that out. Right? I think that's my problem. Because, like, yeah, unless I had this conversation, it would have taken me a while to figure that out. Because I'm like, I'm just thinking of it as just a regular writer show where it's like usually the writers don't have that much and they have to fight to get anything. Whereas here, you're right. It's like he has everything. He has to protect it. It's like, yeah, okay, that's a good point. That's why it's a little different.
Because in these type of situations, usually it's the bad guy who
It's
has
like,
everything.
I am all for
Right.
A
I
heroic
mean, like
story.
Fives is literally the opposite of this, right?
Uh,
Where it's like they're fighting a president and they have like one stinking driver and that's it. And the
True, but
president.
like Takumi keeps getting all of his power ups handed to him.
Okay, literally Fives has two power ups, man.
Yes, but they were both handed to him.
Right. But yeah, but like the whole thing of Fives is
Like,
like, okay, what the second power, like the final
don't
power up
don't don't
is
get
the
me wrong.
writer.
Don't get me wrong.
They need a
Faiz had
final
to work
form.
a lot harder than Naruto has to now.
Right.
But for his actual power ups, they were both handed to him.
Yeah,
The
but like
only the only thing
yeah,
he
that's a
took for
good point.
himself was the belt.
Well, it's not even true. Mari gave it to him.
No, the
Yeah, but
very first time he used the belt, he took it for himself because he
yeah.
saw she was in trouble and he decided to try it for himself.
Mhm.
And then he tried to give it away and she wouldn't let him.
And he spent,
Yeah.
40 episodes trying to give it away. And then just going, God damn it, I guess I gotta do this.
Man, Faiz is fucking great. But you're right. Like, his to be fair, like Faiz doesn't need power ups. That's the biggest
Yeah,
problem of
I
why
agree.
his power ups are given to him. It's because like it's just like Toei demands a mid-season power up. Toei demands a final power up.
Bandai demands toy sales.
Right, exactly.
Like,
It's like
I feel like
it's
Rider in
not part of the
general
show.
doesn't need more
Whereas-
than like 3 or 4 rider forms for the main character. But the
Yeah,
reason
I mean,
why
like,
lately
the
I've
Kuga
been
formula is pretty much perfect.
like
for
the
a
reason
reason,
I've been
right?
complaining about Yua not getting any new rider forms is because she's falling
Because
behind in
she's
power level.
right.
Naruto
Right.
has like 6 or 7 like tier 1 forms and he
Right.
doesn't need any of them.
Yeah, like at least give it to her. See, that's
Well,
the
they're gonna give them to somebody else. Somebody else is getting them. So, by the way,
well,
spoiler for
at
those
least
of
they
you who
get
don't know that.
used. At least they get used, so that's good.
It- it-
I take that. It's annoying that Yua doesn't get anything, but I'm like, eh, at least she's not dead. She got the henshin, so that's something which is fucking terrible. That's the limit we're sitting at. But like,
But like
fucking,
I'm all for a heroic story where the main character earns their power up and shows themselves deserving of getting stronger and such. But I'm interested in the way that Zero-One is tackling it in the opposite direction of like he has everything, he just has to protect it if he wants to keep it.
so like relying on Izu and Sadalaya to create what he needs to do so.
And
Yeah,
only
that
if they
is-
come up with the idea. Izu was the one who kept thinking like, Aruto needs like some kind of firepower. Okay, flaming tiger key, let's make it.
yeah,
Right. It's like because you had Izu who was analyzing the fights.
Aruto
Which is the
can't
same thing-
reach his enemy, they're too high up, flying falcon key, go.
Which is also what Was did. Only a lot faster than Izu did. Granted, that was kind of on intuition as well, but that's sentience for you.
I mean that is a good point. It's just, I guess I just don't like the setup to begin with, where it's like, look, if you gotta get power ups, get it yourself. Like earn it. I never like power ups that are given. Like as cool as Fiza's like speed form is, like it's not really necessary. Like it barely gets used in the show, which is actually kind of amazing compared to modern writer standards. And its final form is a fucking waste of space that nobody cares about.
And is never truly needed.
Dude, it's so not needed. Nobody like basically it never shows up for anything unless they have to because all the other writers are in their final form.
Right. Because
I mean,
it's been a while
it's
since I watched it,
powerful, but I hate it.
but I think it only gets used like 3 or 4 times, and that was it.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like it's a fucking waste of space. So that's my other thing with like Fires is like realistically those forms shouldn't exist, whereas Aruto actually needs the power ups to win.
He needs the power-ups, but he didn't need the base forms.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, honestly, the biggest problem in Rider is like if you have power ups, don't give them like base forms. Don't go like, oh, this is the mid season power ups. Therefore, all the like other various forms are useless now. It's like that's stupid. Either pick you're gonna get like power forms and you get like 3 or 4 of them in a show, or you give them multiple forms, but no like powerful forms.
And no, we don't need a rider with 20 hypothetical different forms that all probably work exactly the same as each other.
And or look very similar, except one has punching gloves.
Oh god.
I'm looking at you, kangaroo.
Holy shit.
Sorry, I saw scans of that, and it's biting shark with gloves.
I was actually talking about build though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Build too, yeah. Build was a lot of that shit, and build was unnecessary.
Dude, it was so unnecessary. They put a mini series to show off the unnecessary ones.
Yeah, they showed off 7 different ones,
right?
And they still didn't get through all of them in the show.
Jesus. Holy fuck. It's terrible. I mean, like, at least the fucking other forms, like the other extra 100 things in Ghost, are for the stage shows and they don't matter. So it just shows up in the movie. It's like, okay, here's just another one. It's like, they're not important. Don't worry about them. Right? And even fucking when Ghost gets his power up, it kind of makes sense where it's like, okay, yeah, this is stronger. And it's but that's because it's important, and two, it's kind of your mulligan. That's why you get a mid-season power up.
I look at Ghost as like the perfect way of bullshitting your way through a power up.
Oh god, yeah.
Because like literally his first power up, it literally only exists to extend the 90 days. Or the 99 days. Because he ran out of fucking time and his dad saved him.
Well, he didn't run out of time. He made a wish.
Well, nope, that was after that. That was after that. Because he gets Mugen because he runs out of time.
I thought he wasted his wish on something else.
I believe, if my memory serves me correct, that was after.
I haven't seen it yet, though. I'm just going off of.
There's one point. There is one point where he does
save a different character instead of himself.
Which he does because he saves. Fucking, what is it? Canon.
Yeah.
The girl whose primary phrase is Alan Sama.
I was gonna say Onichama, but I guess it switches from first half to second half.
Yeah. Once Alan shows up, then it's Alan Sama, I love you.
That's not true.
But
I think it's more like Alan. Okay,
so yes, he does waste his wish, and he gets mulliganed out of that, and then they end up resetting time, and then he runs out again, and then his dad saves him, and then they just disregard the 99 days. Like from that point on, that they don't really mention the 99 days thing anymore.
Well,
until the end of the show. Right, but until the end of the show is like they go, oh yeah, by the way, you're almost out of time.
Yeah, the calendar in that show is the stupidest thing ever.
They did it in a good way where if they would have left it the fuck alone and let time progress the way it should have, the 99 days would have lasted the majority of the series.
Yeah, it would have worked had Toei not pulling the damn main writer off the show. Right? Like, that's the biggest problem of Ghost is like, Toei, leave the fucking writer alone to write his show. Right? That's the biggest problem with the last arc is like he's barely there. So like the secondary writer just has to hold. Basically, the show is in a holding pattern until the main writer comes back to finish the damn show. That's why like the final arc is terrible.
I thought the writer returned for the final arc, and it was everything in the middle that he wasn't there for.
Yeah, which is pretty much when all the 99 days disappeared.
Yeah, it's true. It's just gone. Basically, like Ghost, the beginning is rough, and then it gets pretty solid for a little bit, and then like the final arc kicks in, and it's kind of crap.
And then they made a movie that fucked everything all up.
Well, the movie doesn't fucking matter anyway.
The Spectre movie fucked everything all up.
Yeah. Oh god, I haven't seen the Spectre one. I thought you were talking about the 100 icons.
We can do a
No, this
podcast on the worst Rider series of the Heisei era another time.
Oh, dude,
We can
a
do
lot
a
of people have
podcast.
different shows.
Like that's
A
what I'm
lot
saying.
of
It's like we can talk about which one's the worst one another time.
though I will say this, because of Zio, nobody can say decade anymore.
oh
Z-
shit,
And not just because Zio sucks, but because Zio
Decade is
explained
better.
fucking decade.
Zio retroactively makes Decade better.
Decade better. Yeah, it's so
Because
true.
it fully explained decade. Like every problem everybody had with decade, aside from it being short, was literally why is nothing like the shows that we watched?
Right,
And now we
it's true.
fucking know. Now we fully have that fucking explanation. So
Yeah.
thank you, Shitty Show, for making a halfway shitty show even better.
I mean, like the first half of Decade's fine. It's just that oh shit, we got to do more than the 15 episodes we were supposed to do because Double's not
So
ready.
let's
Oh
go to
fuck.
Showa.
No, Showa happens later. Like all the other bullshit. Yeah, that just happens because like Black's actor is like, hey, cool, I can come back. From I guess owning a restaurant. That's cool.
So,
Yeah, honestly, like Zio makes fucking Decade one better, which is kind of sad.
so
But anyways, back to Zero-One.
back to Zero-One. Arto fucking kicks Bowser's ass harder than when he wasn't in control. Now that he is in control. Now this is 1,000% wrecked.
Dude. Okay, that's pretty good. But
Like
that
the
fight
reason
was so good. Honestly.
it is, real quick, the reason why I like that joke so much is because the first time Metal Cluster showed up, like right before it happened, Rai had sent me a picture after asking me if I wanted a spoiler, and it was just a picture of Thouser on the ground after getting his ass kicked the first time. To which after it was 1,000% wrecked, and I'm like, that's fucking great. And then we've got to see it happen 3 times.
Dude, honestly, like I really like that fight, and then I like Guy's reaction when he gets up. Like you'd think he'd be pissed or something, like break character. Well, not character because he's an actor, but
like-
you know, like break his cool. But no, he just gets up and is like, "I'll just kick your ass next
Yeah.
time."
I swear to win the next competition.
I'm like, dude, that is such a different way of playing that because normally the villain just loses his shit. But that was so
Instead, he just shifts gear to
next fight he's gonna win.
yeah. He just shifts gears from I'm gonna kick your ass, I'm gonna kick your ass, I'm gonna kick your ass. Fuck it, I'm gonna beat your company in a competition.
Well, I think it's more like it's very much okay. Like, goddamn, I hope Shocker shows up because if he doesn't, my Shocker like comparisons are kind of ridiculous at this point. But it's a very Shocker thing where it's like, oh shit, you got beat by the hero. Better go get an upgrade, which will make you stronger, but that upgrade will make you more unstable. So if the hero beats you again, you're pretty much done. So like for their final like battle, like he probably will get like some kind of unstable upgrade or something, and then he's
Hazard
gonna be finally
trigger.
defeated. Go ahead.
1,000 Jackal.
That could work.
So, in this era of Rider where villain riders end up joining the good guys, I hope Thouser stays a villain to the end.
Dude, yeah. Like okay, we have enough good guy writers. We don't like okay, he could have turned Dan if he had lost his shit right there. Right? But I'm like, good, we're not doing Dan again. And 2 is like, I'm real fucking sick of that shit. Especially this guy, like, okay, yeah, he could be useful, right? He could fix his fuck ups. So like again, Toku type character, but I'm like, we don't need that because Yua exists, right? So like, that's literally because that way at least Yua will get something to do because if Thouser sticks around, then like Yua and Thouser's plots are the same, and it's like there's no point then. Yua's not gonna get any screen time.
You was getting some screen time. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, the toy
They
scans
have
for
found a way.
the toy catalog for March came out, and like the upcoming arc is gonna have some shit go down. It's gonna be great.
All right, that I look forward to because also this episode where it's like, hey, I know this weird ass location, and then wait, isn't that where like Hiromi and those guys are? But I'm like, this is from a different angle. Wait, this is the same goddamn angle that Yua made Metal Cluster Hopper. So they were in Matsubo Jinrai's base.
Yes.
And then she shows up there later this episode. I'm like, holy shit, they were.
Yeah, that's straight
so
up where they were.
That is so weird. But I'm like, that's a good continuity thing, at least. I mean, it's just reusing a set, but that's cool.
That's just whether or not that mannequin's ass will still be there.
What?
The mannequin's Jin's girlfriend.
Yeah.
In Mitsubishi Jinrai's base.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a mannequin's ass on a shelf.
I
sent you the pictures of it, right?
I don't remember this. Okay.
It's noticeable when you was sitting on the couch during the whole let's create the metal cluster thing.
Oh,
and I sent you a picture of it. It's like Zero-One has some interesting, some good set designing.
Yeah.
And then the second picture I sent you, I'm like, and then there's this, and it was just a zoomed in on the mannequin's ass, and your response was, "It's Jin's girlfriend."
God damn it! Oh man.
I found in the search history.
See?
I don't remember saying that, but it's hilarious.
That's pretty good. Honestly, like
I got you to laugh with your own joke.
That is pretty good. Honestly,
Okay.
I'm just kind of glad that we see the light up computer.
We end the episode with Izo informing Aruto that now that they have a cure for the Renegade Humagear, by the way, the new weapon can also cure the Renegade Humagear, their contract orders are coming in again because people are feeling safer around them.
Because now all Aruto has to do is show up and bash him with a sword.
Oh, and Hirobi broke out of Ames.
Dun dun dun.
Well, especially like the
Can you
AIM
guys
stuff was
hear me? Because I can't hear you. Hold on a second.
Sorry.
We can hear. I can.
I was just say the AIM stuff was really interesting because like Hirobi basically like asks Fua basically it's like, how do you know your decisions are your own? And like Fua fucking loses it. I'm like, dude, like police brutality much, but
I don't think that counts towards robots in this world.
Okay, so some of that got a little cut off there. Fault on my end. What were you saying right before Fua like losing his control?
Right. So I just said it's a really interesting scene where it's like Hirobi asks Fua, it's like, how do you know your decisions are your own? And then Fua loses his shit, and then police brutality, and then it kind of cuts back to an interesting thing where it's like, okay, yeah, like Fua also hallucinated the member of Matsubo Jinrai. And then it followed them, and then nothing happened next episode. And it's like
there is no guarantee that he that
he what?
There's no guarantee he hallucinated it.
Yeah.
The fact that it got dropped seems to be, and like that, because that got me on the theory a while ago of what if Fua had, like, when he got his little surgery, if they didn't give him cybernetics and this is just Naki is just him and he doesn't realize it, is like, and it's just like a manifestation in his brain, So he's chasing after himself in like a Figment type of
Okay,
situation.
that's interesting.
Because
See,
the only people who have actually seen Naki, aside from us, the viewers, are the people who were given the Raid Risers
right.
and Fua.
And
That's
yeah,
it.
that's a good.
And
I was gonna
Hirobi.
say like he does have cybernetics and only cyborgs can see that character, but it does also feel like he. It feels like he's the one who let go of Hirobi. Like in this episode, let him go. I feel like it was him. He just doesn't remember. So like either he's Naki or he's being controlled by Naki.
I think that Naki is Bo, the fourth member of Metsubo Jinrai. Uh,
Well, based on images I've seen, that seems to be the case. Um, but again, still had no idea what Naki looks like.
right.
So it could still be
Especially
that
with the
way,
voice and
which would fit.
everything, where it's like, what the hell is going on? Anyway,
Anyway, so Arto's company is not in danger of losing business anymore, but they are still in danger of the buyout. They have to win the next two competitions in a row.
yeah, I mean, it's also weird that it's like, oh, right, you Humagear cured, sales rising. I'm like, when did people see these fights?
No. Izu probably put out a public statement with the
We
recorded,
found a cure. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good
public
point.
statement of like, hey, we have a cure. Here's my personal video footage of this situation. The Our president can now fix the out of control human gear without destroying them, which means
That's a good. That
uh,
is a good point. It's kind of annoying that we have to like fill in the gaps for this shit. Where it's like it's literally
do
like a ten, not
do
even a
you
10
really
second scene.
need like 10 seconds of a news report of Izu saying what we already know?
Okay, this is one of those annoying things where it's like I don't, but like at that point we're making the show better than it is. So like the whole thing with like Guy, right? Like he was so much more interesting when he was directly controlling Matsuba Jinrai, but he's not.
It seemed like he was, but he never was.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm fucking saying. Is like we had a much better version of Guy in our heads than the actual show. So that's one of those things where I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, we can rationalize how it happened, but I'm like, we're just making the show better than it's written at that point. So I'm like, eh. I mean, okay, yeah, it's a minor thing, so I'll let it slide. But it's like, I don't know. I'm not in favor of letting like fixing the show's bullshit when it takes like no time to fucking show that. But fair enough. I'm maybe just being nitpicky.
Like, for me, the Uizu making that comment of our stocks are going up now tells you everything you need to know. They made a public statement, the public approves, they are back in business.
Which I'm in favor of it doing that way because like one of the things I hate in shows and movies and else and anybody who's ever watched any of the CinemaSins videos is that news position bullshit.
Okay, that's fine, but one cinema sins
Which to me that
cannot be used for anything. For like goddamn, they are terrible. Do
Yeah.
not
To,
fucking
to clarify,
use them.
if we got a news report of them making the statement, I wouldn't complain about that either because that's world building. I'm just saying one or the other works. We don't need both, and I'm fine with what
You
we
know what?
got.
What I would have wanted is like, okay, it's like episodes almost ending. You just see Arto give again goddamn press conference. You don't even see it fully. It's just like 5 seconds of it beginning, and it just cuts. Right? At least Arto's doing more presidential shit.
I will
Uh,
side with you on that. That would have been good.
yeah.
Yeah, no, he's just
Right.
doing his job for him.
Yeah, I know, but she's doing everything anyways.
I mean, to be fair, it's I apparently that's her literal job.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, see the problem then becomes it's like, okay, the whole reason the vice president's not as good as Arto is because Izu's not there. Right? So that's kind of my other problem is like Arto is like, are you even doing that much, man? Um, which is annoying, but it's like it's not a bad thing with the show because, like as you said, it's structured perfectly for the story it's trying to tell. It's just I'm not super into this particular style of story, but like it's not bad, right? Like anything in this episode, like it was well done, except for that stupid sword, which is lame as hell. Everything else was good.
So, while next week we aren't actually getting to the next challenge, we're getting to something else. Toy Scans did give us an idea of what the next challenge is going to be. Zero, are you interested in this?
Um, maybe let's not put it on the podcast because spoilers.
Okay.
Or okay, you know what? Do your final thoughts, and then we'll put a spoiler section. Then we can talk about it.
All right. Final thoughts. I thought this was a solid episode. And I didn't really think much about the new sword until you guys mentioned it because, yeah, you know what? It is kind of bland. But other than that, I actually enjoyed this episode.
Like I truly enjoyed this episode. The sword really didn't bother me until I started to think about it, which, to be fair, a good portion of that was prompted by Zero making me think about it. So I blame him. But overall, it's like it. Yeah, the sword's really the only thing I have a problem with this episode.
Yeah, I mean, like the only reason I'm annoyed by the sword is because the sword represents such a cool concept of like this is basically the fate of the human gear, where it's like, hey, we believe in you because you trusted us. Here's us building something to help you. So it's like this really good moment in the show, but like it's this really lame ass prop. So I'm like, oh god damn it, it's such a letdown. But other than that, the episode was really solid.
All right. And three, two, one, spoilers. So the
If you
next,
don't want them, get out.
yeah, get out. So the next contest, firefighters.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay, I mean, technically, I get why human. I mean, like a human gear would be good for that, but I'm like, how do you do better firefighting? Like, you would literally have to put people in
Yeah,
danger.
no, we
Well,
are
they're
literally playing with people's lives at this point.
from
Jesus
from the
Christ.
way from what I read, the way it is it's more of a um like doing the firefighter training scenarios. Like that's the way it
This.
read to me.
Oh yeah, the basic training stuff. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, let hook up a hose, put out fire in a fake building kind of thing,
Who
and
can
then go
save
rescue
more
the prop and
people?
dummies. Yeah,
See, I thought it's more like okay, where this make the human firefighter better because like, well, they can get data relayed to them. I was thinking it was gonna be more like an iRobot situation where it's like, well, the robot can save people, but it's like the person they prioritize might not be the best. So it's like, well, like a human could be a better decision maker, but I'm like, it's a firefighter. They should save everyone anyway, kind of. And two, it's like, why are we playing with people's lives, man?
I mean, to be fair, the last competition literally played with somebody's life. It
Yeah.
was, to be fair, this is nothing. Playing with people's lives is nothing new to Thousand Island.
Well, he's fine. I'm like, why are you letting him fucking decide this? This is nonsense. But I guess they're like, well, of course a robot's better at firefighting than a human, because they don't fucking need oxygen masks, right? Or like bullshit
But
cumbersome
can they
gear.
overheat?
So what? You literally put the damn suit onto them. They don't need human skin, right? Like
No, like they're
you,
electronics.
yeah, I know, but you would custom make a body for firefighting human gear, so
That's
they
heat
wouldn't.
resistant.
Yeah, that's heat resistant. Like you don't need to make you don't need to make a robot and then give them the human firefighting gear because that's inefficient. You would just make their damn outer shell be resistant to fire. You know, it's like Yeah, like of course I mean, like a robot would definitely be a much better firefighter. Okay, because like one, they're not wearing bulky equipment, so they're lighter. Two, they don't overheat. Three, they don't need oxygen. Yeah, fucking seeing through smoke's kind of a pain in the ass. If you're just using regular cameras, it's a fire, so infrared doesn't really work. So that's like the one disadvantage. Like, with cameras, like you can't really see that well in like a smoky environment. But
That
outside of that,
thermal
like
would help with that a little bit.
thermal would, but it's a fire.
Yes, but if there's something that's at a lower temperature, it'll register a different
Oh,
shade
okay.
if it's in front of the fire.
Hmm, that is a good point.
Because the thermal, it looks at everything in that scope of the camera and measures the temperatures of it across the board. So the fire either around or behind would be bright red or yellow or everything. It's like, but the person would be like a lighter yellow or an orange or even possibly a blue, depending on
How cold they are compared to the
yeah.
fire. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, especially considering it's a robot, which would have special programming to be able to detect that much better than a human. Like, there's no reason. Yeah, you're right. Thermal would work. Hmm.
From a logistical standpoint, there's no reason why he then should lose this.
Yeah. Um. I mean, they can't because like, boom, like Zaya would win three and it's game over. But like, that's still fucked up. It also doesn't make sense. Like, this is like the one area where it's like the Zaya specs don't really do much. Where it's like why do you even need human firefighters when an AI would do a better job, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you can say, well, for like Zaya's market share for the Zaya specs, but I'm like, where, right? Like, who? Like, there's got to be much fewer firefighters now. You can't even sell. Like, let's say you give every single one the Zaya specs. Guess what? There's probably like four times less of them now than they are in the real world at this point, because like three out of four firefighters are probably robots, right? Like, there's no advantage. Whereas like, oh, it's a realtor, or flower ending is weird, but that's more of just a showcase. Well, I guess maybe if you want to say it's for branding, like, hey, look, even in the most difficult situation, the Zaya specs can help you out.
Like
So I guess
the
if they're doing it for like disaster preparedness, where it's like, hey, keep this just in case of emergencies, like I guess there's a market there.
in the catalog, you see a shot of a literal squad of Humagear firefighters.
Right, which makes sense, but it's like, what the hell is this? I don't know. That's weird. It's gonna be interesting. It looks like there's gonna be a new form or something.
Yeah, there's a couple of new forms.
All right, so shit's gonna get interesting then, because I'm like, I don't think Fua's getting one.
Yeah.
Do you want
Oh
to know?
yeah.
Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Because
Do
we
you
will
No,
want to
tell
know?
you.
Because we
no.
will tell you.
Well,
Well, to give it a number, there are three new forms coming.
holy shit! Next episode.
No,
Well,
no, not
over the
next
next month.
episode. There might be one new form coming next episode, but there are three new forms coming in like the next month or so.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're like almost hitting 30. It does seem like the time for new forms, especially like
It, the
for
one new form does show up next episode. That's the one in the preview.
yeah. Hopefully Arta doesn't get it, because I'm like, he
Oh no,
just got
Aruto is done getting forms until like almost episode 40.
damn, that's impressive.
That is going off
Or
of
rather,
the
should be.
last two seasons. Hell,
Hmm.
possibly the last three. Because the final form
That's
has
good. That's
lately
comfort to
been
know.
like a pre or early final arc introduction. So Aruto just got his mid-season power up. He's set. until like episode 40. The next three power ups are basically other characters playing catch up.
You know what? I'm fine with that because honestly, this thing is fucking broken. If you just got another power up, I'm like, how do you even beat this? Like, Metal Cluster is fucking busted as all hell. I mean, if you could do all the stuff that it could do when the Arc was in control of it, plus the new stuff, like, it's way too busted. If there's a form even stronger than this, it's like how would anybody even catch up at that point?
I will just point out that one of the new forms just seems super busted too.
Well, I mean, obviously, but just giving them all to Aruto is the problem, not the hey, look, this thing is a busted power up.
But they are not. Aruto is done for a while.
Okay, that's good.
Alright.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Reminder that we are returning tomorrow with Power Rangers Beast Morphers, and we'll be back Tuesday for the final episode of Ryu Soldier. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
thank you all for joining us. We'll see you back here next week for Zero-One and Ryu Soldier, and join Rai and Drago for